Just wanted to sort of do a quick update before I forget some of the things that we've done. It's the day before Valentine's Day, so that makes this. When did we set this up? November. So November to December, December to January. So we're about 2.5 months. You can clearly see some things have changed. The crypts are adapting to the light conditions and the nutrient levels in the tank. What I mean by that is I get a lot less leaves developing a lot of algae and then turning yellow and dying. Now, I assume that's the crypts sort of adjusting a little bit to light levels. Maybe I'm starting to get a grip on some of the algae, although recent events would make me think otherwise. You can see I've drastically cut things back in here. That was about a week ago. The kabumba is not doing well. I think it will most likely all die. I'm slowly transplanting that with Limnophilia cessiflora. You can see that coming through there where the kabumba used to be. You can also see in the middle where I trim things back very heavily, and then all the new growth, and in behind that we planted. And I've taken some red plants out of other tanks I have in the house and sort of transported them around. I don't think we've lost anyone in here. We've been good with fish, no problems. I added two more zebra danios. Hopefully they're females, so we'll offset the numbers in here properly. We do have snails in the tank. Oh, I hate snails, but I knew this was going to happen, and I'm just going to have to learn how to deal with it. Snails can be healthy as long as you're capable of not odor for feeding your tank. The population should take care of itself. If you have a lot of snail growth without die off, then they have too much food. So either you're feeding them too much or there's too much dead organic matter in there, whatever the case is. Anyways, things are going pretty good. There might be new fish in here. I also added two honey gouramis. I don't think they were in here the last time we did a video. You can also see in the middle, I've transplanted some things from another tank. I don't remember what that is called anymore, but there was some more of it in the corner here as well that was in there before. And then you can see, the crypts have changed. I am having an issue with green spot algae, and only on the Anubis leaves. It's normal-ish to a point because Anubis are slow growing. It's not uncommon. Doesn't mean it's okay. I have rubbed it off once or twice. It doesn't come off great, and the algae eaters that are in here aren't really taking care of it. And the nearite snails don't. I almost never see them on plants. As in hindsight, if you really want snails to clean your plants, neorites are not the deal. They'll take care of everything else in the glass, but I hardly ever see them on the plants. I see my mystery snail on the plants all the time. True, he may not have been in here last time. I moved him from the shrimp tank, which we'll talk about as well. You'll also see up here in the corner, snails, pond snails. Anyways, overall, the tank is really healthy. I have several complaints about it, but none have anything to do with the health of the fish or the plants. It's all my own ability to plant it properly and understand what it was going to look like later. I didn't realize how big some of these plants got. I didn't realize how fast or slow some of them grew. So obviously, a lot of planting mistakes were made. This tiger lily, I don't know if that was in here the last time we did this. I know that looks like it's dying. And if it was in here, it probably looked healthier before with all the leaves. So it died off. However, and I don't think, can we, well, down in there, I think you can almost see it. There's a whole bunch of new leaves from where all the old ones died. And although this other big tall one is covered in algae, it is growing new leaves. Something else I learned recently, the shrimp that are in here are in fact breeding. I saw a shrimp in this tank the other day that was far too small to have been one of the shrimp that I added over 2 months ago. So the shrimp that did survive whatever happened in this tank that killed off a bunch of them, they are successfully breeding. I don't know how many small shrimp like that are in here. I don't know that I'd ever know. The tank is too heavily planted for me to see them, but I did see evidence of one in here that was far too small to have been there. I also saw one of the females the other day that was buried, and that was the one that I saw was bigger than something that had just hatched. So the fact that one of the females was buried tells me that there's a couple of generations possibly in here that I didn't realize. I thought they all died out. They also don't all hang out at the driftwood anymore. So whatever they were eating or whatever it was about it that they liked, they don't. I've made also changes to the filter. I think since the last time, there's now a canister filter running. I originally started this back in this hobby because I wanted to do sort of self-contained eco tanks that didn't require pumps and heaters and such. And I learned a few things. I can do it. It is possible to do. I prove that. And I can just run a tank on a sponge filter in the back, and that's enough. All the old canister filters and everything, all that stuff I used to do, I don't need to do it. But water movement is so important, and sponge filters in a planted tank don't provide enough water movement. You get a massive amount of detritus built up on the bottom, and although you can leave it, although it's not necessarily unhealthy with the planted tank, as long as your fish are healthy looking, the detritus can stay there and eventually find its way in the sand. I find a couple things though. First of all, I don't like the look of it, which is a big part of it. And second of all, I think the sand I got is a little too fine. I find that waste material doesn't filter through this. And next time, I need to use a coarser sand so that it can get through, or at least use a coarser sand on top. This is too fine and it just doesn't allow that waste material to get through it. So I've gone to a canister filter. I'm not running any carbon. All the reading I've done on carbon, there's no need for it unless you're removing medication, unless you want to remove tannins out of the water. So it's all biological. And truthfully, the only reason it's really in here is for the water to move. I'm convinced at this point I could just put a wave runner in here, like a wave runner, one of the wave fans in here to just circulate water, and it would be fine. The filter is kind of secondary, and it really is only running ceramics and filter floss. There's no chemical anything. So yeah, the tank is super healthy. It's just not quite what I expected. The guppies are getting bigger. Mama guppy, we got rid of her. She's pregnant again, and I just don't have the availability to take care of that at the moment. And the baby guppies in here are getting bigger, starting to be able to tell the males from the females. You can see the one. Where'd he go? He was down here a second ago. Where'd you go? Where are you? Well, that might be him there. Anyways, yeah, that was fun. We might do something with this at a later point. So the shrimp tank. I'm not going to talk too long about this. Really, nothing in here has changed. Continue to cut things back. Trying to monitor the amount of food because I feel like the small plants in the front haven't had a chance to develop fast enough yet to get rid of that. So trying to be stingy with the food. However, the same time have a problem with that because there are a lot of baby shrimp in here. A little while back, I saw that 4 of the red cherries in here were buried. At least one of them has given birth. I don't think. Yeah, I can't really. I can't really show you that. They're too small. They're just too small to focus on, really. But at least one of the buried shrimp in here has had the eggs, if not more than that, over the last day. There are quite a few of them in here. They do grow pretty quick. I've seen a couple of tiny, tiny molts floating around already. So that does mean things in here are healthy. Everybody's living. So I'm trying to be stingy with the food because of the waste material. But at the same time, I have to be careful to not starve out the baby shrimp that are in here because that was, in fact, the whole point. That white growth that was coming out of the driftwood, apparently that's staghorn algae. It can get to be a bit of a pain in the arse, sort of closely related to blackbeard. So we're just going to kind of keep wiping it off and taking care of it. And as the nutrients leave that driftwood, that should be the last of it we see. The Java moss that's growing in there is growing nicely. A little slow, but it's doing well. I think in future, with my recent experiences with this stuff, I might just leave it out of future builds. Having said that, one of the things we were going to talk about here just quickly, we did have a bit of an algae issue. I didn't know it, but as the Java moss grew back, you'll notice it's all been peeled off there now. The underside of it was dead, so it wasn't stuck to the driftwood very well. And then it grew out these long stringy bits. You can see it's even starting to do it again. I don't know if you can see it there or not. What happened is algae just bloomed in the middle of that and grew this sort of hair algae. Not a big deal, easy to get rid of, but it told me there were a few too many nutrients in the water, so I've slowed down fertilizing. In fact, I completely forgot to fertilize this week, and I think maybe we're just going to go with it and leave it alone for the week. Uh, Anyways, that's really it. I just wanted to do quickly the update. Oh, yeah, nearite snails. I found him behind the tank. I don't know how long he's been out. I'm told they can last up to a month out of water, and I don't think it's been that long. But I put him back in a little while ago, and he hasn't come back out of his shell. It's been a couple days now. Didn't smell bad, so I'm going to leave him, but he might not make it. The one upstairs, they did the same thing, but he seems to be okay. That's it for now.